published 1732 est. The 4th of January 2018 updated 0643 est. The 5th of January 2018. That's the thing, they are stuck with each other. Jose Mourinho and Manchester United. What is he going to get that is better than this job and them? How many managers can they go through, trying to recreate Sir Alex Ferguson's magic formula? If Mourinho isn't the answer, who is? Mourinho insisted on Thursday that he wants to stay at Old Trafford beyond the length of his 3-year contract, conveniently forgetting it was his description of the Paris Saint-Germain project as special, magic, fantastic in November that gave birth to the idea he might not be entirely happy in Manchester United. Meanwhile, are greatly upset at talk of dissatisfaction with their manager, overlooking opposition to his appointment from within, and their record of short-termism since Ferguson's departure. Jose Mourinho said he wants to stay at Manchester United beyond his 3-year contract. Mourinho's behaviour this season has, at times, suggested he is dissatisfied in Manchester, but, whatever happens in the remainder of the season, where could United go first? They tried Ferguson light. David Moyes, the chosen one, as the Stretford end had it, sacked within a year. Then they went stellar. Louis van Gaal, European coaching royalty. Ex-Ajax, ex-Barcelona, ex-Bayern Munich, decades of experience handling the big names. Bored the pants off everybody, won the FA Cup and still got sacked. On to Mourinho, the manager it was felt they should have got from the start. An all-out, no compromising title winner. He came 6th. Now, he is 2nd, but still 15 points adrift of the local rivals that used to be a punchline, and seemingly at war with the world. So, what would constitute Plan D? How many managers can United toss onto the fire after 1 or 2 seasons? At this rate, Ferguson would have been ditched long before he landed his first title. And panic is not a good look for a club that views itself as king of the world. After Sir Alex Ferguson left United, they turned to David Moyes, who was sacked inside a year. Louis van Gaal came in after Moyes but was dismissed after winning the FA Cup. Now see it from Mourinho's point of view. If he truly is dissatisfied with Manchester, if he is as miserable as he sounds half the time, where would he go from here? PSG. There are many well-informed voices convinced this is his next destination, but would they really want a coach increasingly, if somewhat unfairly, famed for his defensive organisation, having spent £350 million on 2 strikers? Serie A is not as strong or rewarding as the Premier League, and it would be hard to match his success with Inter Milan. The same in Spain, where pretty much any job in La Liga would be a step down after Real Madrid, and that goes double for Portugal considering his achievements with Porto. Unless he can land Bayern Munich, he is playing for 2nd place in Germany, and international football is an older man's game. Anyway, the next World Cup in which he could realistically be involved is 4 years away. Mourinho could go to China, or Russia, for the money, but he has plenty of that and the job satisfaction would be minimal. He needs to be center stage. His achievements must have meaning. China is a long way from having the status that Mourinho requires. Russia is a second-tier league in Europe. Nothing is as good as managing United. Ironic, isn't it? Mourinho and United appeared made for each other and, to some extent, they still are, just not in the way it was imagined. It appears rather a loveless marriage now. United no doubt fretting about transfer business and that infamous 3rd season. Mourinho clearly underwhelmed by what he has found in Manchester, the strategic weaknesses in all but commercial areas. He needs help. He isn't getting help. Who does he talk to before delivering these gloomy sermons about the fixture schedule, or Manchester City's sovereign wealth, or rival managers, or his injury list? Who is there to look him in the eye and tell him the truth? Mourinho needs to be where achievements have meaning. Nowhere else is as good as United. Woodward has received criticism, but he operates in a harder market than his predecessors. Which is this? Jose, you will get no sympathy as the manager of United. Nobody will take pity. Nobody will see your side. In the modern football world, United are thought to have every advantage imaginable, and that is not going to alter. So change tack. Change tactics. Why not make a different point? Why not frame it another way? United's manager needs managing. He is being left to fight the world on his own. No wonder he is miserable. This is not about mere disgruntlement over transfer policy. When budgets are measured in hundreds of millions, the situation is volatile. United, for all their riches and power, are still at the mercy of wealthy rivals and agents. They can be outbid. A better deal could be had elsewhere. Woodward receives a lot of criticism, but the modern market is considerably trickier than it was in the days when Peter Kenyon and David Gill occupied his role. Back then, United only had Barcelona and Real Madrid to worry about and, after 2003, Chelsea. Woodward must take on all three, plus City and PSG, who are financially stronger. It's a jungle out there. So this is about sweating the small stuff. Mourinho's moods, Mourinho's pronouncements to the world, the image of a manager who appears increasingly dissatisfied with his lot. Mourinho can be difficult, that much is obvious. He is not the master media manipulator of popular fable, because too much of what he says is off the cuff. He reacts to the question, and a smart inquisitor can push his buttons. Take the claim that Arsène Wenger is a specialist in failure. It came in 2014 after Wenger had said the managers played down their title chances because they feared to fail. Mourinho saw the comments before going into a routine Chelsea press conference to discuss an FA Cup tie, away to City. It was explained that Wenger was talking generally but most probably about Brendan Rodgers, who had been very reticent on Liverpool's title chances despite their healthy league position. Mourinho can be a challenge, but he isn't foolish. His success allows him to be outspoken, yet the second question of the press conference mischievously linked Wenger's comments directly to Mourinho, and he bit. If he is right and I am afraid of failure, it is because I didn't fail many times, Mourinho said. 8 years without silverware, that's failure. He's a specialist in failure. If I do that in Chelsea, 8 years, I leave and don't come back. So, yes. He can be a challenge. But those who have worked with him say he listens. He can be dissuaded from giving a rival a verbal punch in the kidneys, as he calls it. He can be turned away from an agenda if it is considered counterproductive. He can go, to use his phrases, low profile or radio silence. Above all, Mourinho is not foolish. He has been successful enough to have earned his right to be outspoken, but he listens to reason. So, who is reasoning with him at United? Who points out that the acquisitions of Romelu Lukaku and Paul Pogba undermine any observations he may have about City's excessive spending, or that once a transfer budget exceeds £300 million, the consensus is a manager should be able to forge a title-winning team, who explains that it is not helpful to United's image if their manager depicts them as somehow inferior to City. At the moment, Mourinho seems trapped in a vicious cycle. He moans, he gets no sympathy, his bad mood increases, he moans again, gets no sympathy, and on it goes. Even in pledging loyalty to United, he did not crack a smile, his response to the questions a glower. He has appeared to have little rapport with the room in recent weeks, and that is not him, either. When Mourinho returned to Chelsea in 2013, he spent 30 minutes at a general broadcast press conference, then the same amount of time around a table with the daily newspapers and again with the Sunday correspondents. He declared himself the happy one. By contrast, his first appearance as United manager was curtailed after 9 questions. Even Mourinho seemed surprised at the brevity. Maybe he would have liked to revel in the moment a little more. Sacked by Chelsea, bouncing back with the biggest club in the Premier League. Mourinho has complained about spending, but he bought Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku. Maybe he needs to stretch out a little in the present climate, too. He is appearing awfully one-dimensional for such a complex character. Here comes Jose Mourinho. What is he going to complain about this week? Of course, none of this matters when a manager is top of the league. But when he is not, when he is frustrated, tetchy, when he is down or can't get to his point across, this is the image that travels across the world. This is what his players see, what prospective signings see. Is this how United wish to be represented? If not, why don't they do something about it? Why don't they give Mourinho some of the support he needs, particularly as, if his latest announcement is to be believed, he has no intention of going anywhere. Lose to Everton on Friday, and Jurgen Klopp's decision to let 2 of his leading players travel to an awards ceremony in Ghana will no doubt be derided. Mohamed Salah would have missed the FA Cup tie through injury anyway, but Sadio Mane is not due back to Anfield until the day of the match, when a decision will be made on his readiness to play. Liverpool have laid on a private plane, but to many it seems a bizarre decision, given the importance of any Merseyside derby, whatever the competition. Yet the Confederation of African Football Awards is no minor event, either. Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah are in Africa for on the eve of the Merseyside derby. Klopp says he saw how important it was to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang when he was at Dortmund, and it is a positive step that a manager of a European elite team should afford respect to the African continent. European pressure has already shifted the Africa Cup of Nations to monsoon season, and managers continue to be mystifyingly outraged at the inconvenience of African-born players representing African countries. Klopp's attitude is refreshing. One hopes, whatever the outcome at Anfield, it is not held against him. Andy Murray is on his way home from Australia and may need a hip replacement. Joe Conter has been forced to pull out of the Brisbane tournament, suffering injury in a similar area, a case of two hips, but no hooray for British tennis. Brighton and Crystal Palace will trial the video assistant referee system on Monday for one very good reason: the game doesn't matter. Well, it does, but only to supporters of Brighton and Crystal Palace. To the wider world it is a meeting of two mediocre Premier League sides. They call it a derby, but few outside the two localities understand that. So, why is a home Premier League fixture among the pick of the FA Cup third-round ties? Because BT Sport caved to the carping busybodies complaining about Manchester United always being on television. United play Derby on Friday night in a much better game. Derby are in excellent form near the top of the Championship. United have shown vulnerability of late. Crystal Palace's FA Cup tie with Brighton will be used to trial the video assistant referee system, even given United's home advantage. It is a fine cup tie, one of the best in the round. But United have been on television 58 ties straight in the FA Cup, dating back to a home fixture against non-league Exeter City in January 2005, and there were moans. BT Sport should have told everyone to get stuffed. The more Manchester United games they show, the better their viewing figures will be, and broadcasting the game with Derby could be justified on aesthetic and commercial grounds. No doubt those who complained about United's presence will be tuning in for the meeting of the Premier League's 12th and 14th best teams, although experience suggests there is a marked difference between tweeting about something and acting on it. To the surprise of nobody, attacking midfielder Leon Goretzka, the rising star of German football, will join Bayern Munich in the summer. That hasn't been confirmed, but he will. His contract is up, and Munich have made plain their admiration for him. Bayern talk more about a player of Schalke than their own players, said Schalke sporting director Christian Heidel. We do not have to hear every day from the people of Munich how good our player is. Leon Goretzka, the rising star of German football, is set to join Bayern Munich in the summer. Bayern are on course for an unprecedented sixth straight title. The previous record was 3. Then this summer they will successfully weaken a main rival. Schalke are currently second, albeit 11 points adrift, and pay no fee for one of the best young players in Europe. No doubt they will also continue to pontificate about fair play, financial and otherwise. Lovely, aren't they? Incredibly, an average of 15,826 people are still interested in going to watch Hull City fight to avoid a second relegation. That's a quarter down on their Premier League gate last season, but only 1,373 behind their average attendance the last time they were in the Championship in 201,516, winning promotion. So, that's the group that will stick by them, the ones who probably felt most strongly when the owners tried to change the club name to Hull Tigers. One hopes the members of the Allen family behind it divisive action now understand the bones of a club, its name, its colours, and the 15,000 loyal souls who turn out, even to watch the fourth worst team in the Championship.